fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like diamonds. We are back again. Gonna be a fun one today with my friend Captain Max McKinley. Brother Max, welcome to the show, dude.
What's going on, man? It's good to be here.
If you guys might sense some nasally in my voice, it's because I was camping this past weekend in Kissimmee State Park. Had a blast, perfect weather, but something was in the air. And doggone it, my allergies have been killing me. So I'm on Claritin D. So if I say something way offline, I'm going to blame it on Claritin D. And if I sound nasally, it's because of the allergies. So everyone wins. So Captain Max, man, we've been following you for a while. I know we've met you at a couple of the events. I know Luke's run into you quite a few times. And a really cool story. I mean, young guy, you're making a living as a guide, as a really young guide, both in Florida and Louisiana. And I think it's a pretty just fascinating story of following your dreams, doing something you love, and becoming better at it every day. Let's talk about the backstory first. So, like, did you grow up with a fishing rod in your hands? Did you had a fishing family or what?
Man, the exact opposite, actually. I'm kind of far from the beaten path there. I've never had anyone in my family that fished. I never even really started taking fishing even the slightest seriously until I was, 15 maybe. And I'm 22 now, so it was kind of just, growing up, I would try this, I would try that. I really wouldn't stay with anything for too long. I was always, I always put my effort into it and, tried drums and guitar and, every hobby, whatever. And a buddy in high school, Alec Baker, one day, he was just like, let's go fishing. I was like, okay. And, I had like a small little combo or whatever that I've had for my whole life, just nothing special. We went out, and it's when I figured out how expensive lures were. And I was, I was going out and casting, practicing, and I was just like, man, this is kind of cool. It's expensive, dude. I don't know if I could do this. And I was like throwing out, these $10 lures and losing them because of whatever, failed knots or whatever the case. And I was Mom, I just need $10. I just need $10 for a lure. And I was like, trying to just keep fishing. I started liking it because that was the first time that I saw the different side of fishing, like it wasn't the, typical shrimp and a bobber and you sit there and wait, which there's nothing wrong with it, but that's not my style. So when I saw this whole throwing lures deal and kind of, fish cruising on the shallow flats and seawalls or whatever the case, I liked it. And I started just riding my bike down, doing it every day, fishing with Alec. And, he taught me the little basics there and helped me out, with my casting and stuff. And I was fishing pretty much every day after that. And then, I met a good friend, Captain Marshall Busha and Stewart, Bad Habit Charters. He's a real good dude. And he kind of, I don't want to say like took me under his wing, but he was just taking me out and showing me a lot and saw that I really enjoyed it and saw that I was down to, fish whenever and really didn't care. I just wanted to fish. So we started fishing together a lot and, pompano, snook, snapper, sheephead, grouper, whatever the case, cobia. We were out there fishing, and he showed me a lot. I credit a lot of what I learned in the beginning to Marshall. He really went out of his way and kind of saw that I was taking it a little more seriously than other people. And, when I was 15 and a half, 16, I think at that point I was fishing pretty much every day. And
so you still couldn't drive yet then, huh?
No, yeah. So that was a little problem. I was say, hey, Mom, Marshall wants to go night fishing. Like, I can't drive. I'm 15. I have a permit. Like, what time does he want to be back? I don't know, 12. And, it's, it didn't really work out for some of the ways. But, I mean, thankfully for me, I was really fortunate. I grew up in, an area that's surrounded by water. I really didn't have to ride my bike far. And my mom was always cool about all that. She saw that I really liked something, and she was cool to drive me 5-10 minutes or whatever the case to get to the boat. So
cool.
It wasn't like I struggled through it or anything. I'm not going to act like that, but it was funny. It was just like, she could tell I really liked something, and she was really cool about it. So
it was Captain was Marshall charging you, or this was really like kind of an internship almost like.
It's a funny story. Like his brother Max, I'm Max, he's Max. We went to the same elementary school, middle school, high school. Like Max was like my first real friend. Honestly, I could say, when I moved to Stewart when I was about 9, I was actually born in Fort Lauderdale, and, I moved to Stewart right before my 9th birthday, and Max was like the first person I met. He lived 5 minutes away from me. And Marshall, it was funny because growing up, Marshall was kind of like, in high school, and we were in, lower middle school or whatever. And Marshall was always kind of like these freaking kids, he'd just be walking around just like, doing his own thing. And then, when I got into high school and he noticed I was fishing a little bit, he kind of just invited me out on the boat and saw what I was about. And, we started fishing a lot more. And so it's kind of funny at first, he didn't really care about his brother's friends at all. He was just like, whatever, his little jits running around, trying to throw cast nets on puffer fish and stuff at night when they're sleeping. And, yeah, just all that stuff, grabbing them with our hands. It was pretty cool, man. Max and Marshall's house is a really cool place there on the river. But that's how I kind of transitioned into that. And I guess I owe a lot of what I have today to other people that I guess saw something in me. I don't know, and they kind of just like kept with me, and didn't discard me or whatever. So that's kind of what happened with Marshall, I guess you could say. He kind of saw that I was really passionate about it and wanted to learn as much as possible, and I kind of transitioned into my knowledge today and just time spent out in the water. So that's when like 15 and a half, 16 years old, I had a little bit of money saved up, and I was like, man, like I really want a little boat. Like I want to get her, because I was at this point I had hit every spot from land from here to freaking, from Stewart to Fort Pierce. I was just like, I'm done with this. I want to go out there, and I kind of threw in on a little 16-foot Scout sport fish with my
Nice.
with my dad. He threw me a couple more $1,000 and helped me get the Scout, and that was it, man. I was out. I was fishing from that point on probably for 2-3 years, only because of a lack of funds. If I wasn't fishing, I was probably out, 30+ days a year. And then once I turned 18, maybe even 17, that's when I really think I hit probably 250 days a year plus on the water.
Dang.
And I never, and I've been doing that every year since. So I haven't been fishing the longest. I haven't had, a fishing rod in my arms, in my hands since I was, 3 years old with my dad catching brim at the lake. But, I've put in a lot of days, a lot of hours, missed a lot of events because the weather was good, missed a lot of whatever just to keep on fishing and figure something new out. And that's really, overall, after everything, that's really what landed me where I'm at, I think, is just the time I put in.
It probably kept you out a lot of trouble too. I know, looking back, because we always wanted to get up and get the early bite. Growing up in Florida, Luke and I did, and we weren't out doing some of the dumb things some of our friends were doing late at night on the weekends. So I'm sure it kept you out of some trouble too. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, college, it was a balance. It was a balance of the dumb stuff and still fishing. I mean,
not advocating it at all, but if it was flat calm out and, I had class at 11, I was going to read the notes later and do the work at home, and I was going to go out and go fishing. And that's just how it was. And I was passing, and it was just, I don't know, man. I can't really explain it, but there's not much that's going to keep me from going out fishing if I want to. And I pretty much want to every day.
And so you're 22 now, is that right?
Yeah, I'm 22 as of June 2nd. So. And
so did you graduate college? Did you finish?
So I was on track. I was 3 years through. I don't know. I think I needed just one more year, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of when this whole Louisiana thing happened, and it was right before my first fall semester of my last year, and I kind of just, I was looking at it and weighing out the situation, and I was like, I can finish anytime. This I really can't get a second chance at. So I took this because this is obviously the path I want to go down. I'm out here now, and I'm doing it for the second year now. But yeah, it's been an interesting past few years. I didn't really expect it to go this way, but I'm happy it did. And I'm fishing every day and get to go out and catch big fish and teach people how to catch big fish. And I love it, man. I wouldn't go back to spend that fourth year 100 times over.
It sounds like you don't really need it at this point. So I don't honestly know the whole story. And I'm sure a lot of listeners don't as well. So you're in the 20 years old. Let's just say, yeah, I guess if you've been at 2 years, you're around 20. You're full-time guide, right? You have your captain's license now at this point?
Yeah, and okay. Full-time is in, like, I quit my other, jobs. I've held jobs since I was, the day I turned 16, my dad handed me an old '02 F-150 and $20, and he said, go get a job. And I've had a job ever since. So, when I turned 18, that's when obviously you can legally obtain your captain's license. And, I was headed off to college in a few months, and I was like, I'm going to get it now. So I went through the process and got all the paperwork and all that sent in, and it takes a good bit of time, depending on what time of year you do it. It takes about 6 months or so. So I was in college, and I held, I think 2 more jobs in the meantime. Worked at Chipotle for a while, worked at a really cool store called Boaters Republic in St. Petersburg and Tampa. Yep. And, that kind of got me through my first year or so. And then even though I was probably in no position to quit those jobs, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And I was tired of working for other people. That's just not who I am. So I quit everything and kind of just did guiding. And I figured, even if I ran a trip a month, it would pay for practically almost like a full paycheck at another job for, how many ever weeks or whatever the case. So I kind of just waited out like that, and I believed in myself, and I took a shot, and it was real slow in the beginning, but I think that's just part of it. I think that there's a lot of more experienced guys out there to hire. There's, the deal. It's pretty self-explanatory why it would be pretty slow in the beginning, especially for, someone who's 19 years old. But yeah, man, I just kind of went for it and, ran some trips over in St. Pete and Tampa. That fishery is very good, as you know. And, I'm not dogging it at all, but, I think most people agree it's not the hardest to figure out if you got 500 pilchards in the well. I'm not dogging it at all. It's an awesome fishery. So I thought, okay, well, I'd consider myself all right to run some charters here because it's just, it's bait. So I was loading up the well and running some trips over there and catching some nice fish and mainly just fun fishing, man. I was just fun fishing every day.
Well, and why did you, growing up in the Stewart area, why'd you go to the other coast? I'm curious.
college. I went to USF St. Pete.
Aha, got it.
Yeah. So I went to USF over there and St. Pete campus, and it was funny. I was kind of debating on which school to go to. It had to be on the water. I was debating between UNF, USF, and that one down in Fort Myers. Just kind of debating on those areas. Just check out a different part of Florida and try to fish it. And I already went on the other tours for the other schools, and I got accepted into all three. So I was touring USF, and they went to the seawall because USF St. Pete is literally on the water.
Yeah. And
they walked me out to the back seawall, and I looked down. There was a slot snook, and I was like, all right, I'm going to school here. That's exactly how I made my decision. So I was like, all right, Mom, I'm going here, And and college wasn't my thing. I mean, I've grown up very fortunate, not really any kind of struggle. Fort Lauderdale wasn't like great, but coming up to Stewart, my family's well off, and they kind of told me out of high school, my dad said you could either go get a job or I'll put you in college if you want. And my mom was kind of pushing for college, and I was like, I told him straight up, I was like, I'll go to college, but it's not my first choice personally. I don't really think I need it, so I'm not going to put myself into debt for it. And they said, okay, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, we'll pay for you to go there. So, I was very fortunate in that case, and I went over to USF, and I was going to school and fishing. That's pretty much it, minus a few other things that probably can't be mentioned.
And so, how this Louisiana thing, and let's talk through that. What happened, and how did you find yourself over there all of a sudden at 20 years old?
Yeah, so that was a big one. I was, I grew up fishing flats in the mangroves. I mean, I grew up really backcountry fishing. It wasn't a whole lot of fishing docks and stuff like that because I just didn't. I liked going for quality fish, and I knew that I needed most of the time good bait, and to really figure out an area, I wanted good bait, and I wanted a lot of different things. So the Scout just didn't have the live well for it, man. I just couldn't. I was a little limited in what I could do in it, so I really grew up backcountry fishing mangroves with artificials, the whole 9 yards with that, and transferring over to bait and Stewart and Tampa, yeah, it's nice, but man, it's a lot more than just buying a pack of artificials at the store. So I was fine at it, and I could do it, but my real heart is where tricking a fish, sight fishing them with artificial. That's where I get way more fired up at that than maybe not than getting a big bite on a snook. But I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're looking at a fish cruise, you see it, you cast at it, it eats. I mean, it doesn't get much better. So
yeah,
I didn't really picture myself in Louisiana ever. Actually, it wasn't even a thought in my head. And the funny story, I mean, there's kind of like a locals, non-locals thing up here that goes on where, there's a lot of non-local guys that come up here, and I get it, that they're kind of encroaching on territory or whatever the case. So it was a crazy story. I actually, for my 21st birthday last year, June 2nd, my parents are like, what do you want to do? Like, we never do anything special with you. Like, you've been supporting yourself, over there. Like, let's do something cool. And I was like, honestly, I've never been on a real charter in another area. Like, I would love to go to another area, and instead of having to figure it out myself, I would love to just pay someone to get pulled around all day and try to sight fish. And they were like, oh, where do you want to go? And I was like, I mean, Louisiana, is that cool? And they were like, yeah, like, let's go. So I called, I called up Greg Moon. He also had an East Cape, and I was talking to him, and he's a local guide here. And I was kind of like, hey, can I come up and hire you? I want to hire you for a day. It's my 21st birthday, and we're going to go up there and hang out in the city for a few days, and I'd love to get a trip in. He was on a bunch of big fish, and I was like, I hired him, and we booked a date, and a little tiny hurricane came through or something, and the fishing that he was having kind of calmed down a little bit. And I remember it was like kind of a hit or miss thing going out to catch big fish. So I was like, looking at him, and I was looking at my dad. This is when we were out on the boat deciding whether to go for big ones. And I was like, my dad really doesn't fish. He doesn't really get to catch nice fish a lot. And I want him to have an opportunity too. I don't want to just have, a few good shots at big fish a day for myself. I want him to catch something. So I told Greg, no, let's go back and just do some backcountry stuff for some slot fish. And man, did I not know how important that decision was. Because later, I get this call that says, hey, are you interested in going up to Louisiana and guiding? And I was like, I mean, sure. I've never even thought of it at this point. This is not a thought in my head at all. And I'm getting this call saying, from the owner of East Cape, Kevin Fenn, and he's always been really nice to me, believed in me, just, kind of the same situation. And he wanted to help me out. And he said I might be able to get you in up there with Flywater Expeditions. And I said, okay, well, I'd love to, like, please, this is a crazy opportunity. And before you know it, 2 weeks goes by, and in a month I'm heading up to Louisiana for a season, and man, that decision to go into the backcountry with Greg Moon and my dad, it was never meant to happen, from the beginning. And I didn't know how important it was going to be because, the backcountry here is all the same. It's there could be fish down this spot. There could be fish down this spot. It's all the same. I still can't even to this day tell you, the exact area that we went that day with Greg. It was like one kind of cubic area back in the marsh.
Yeah.
But if he would have taken me out to big fish, which is a hard thing, and if he would have taken me out and showed me that, and then I would have accepted this Louisiana gig a few months later, that would have been wrong. Like, it would have been bad. Just morally, like, this guy just took me out and showed me showed me his intellectual property as a guide, what he uses to make a living every day for 10, 15 years, whatever the case. And, I thank God that I did not go out and do the big fish thing with him. We just went like a couple 100 yards back into the marsh and caught some slot fish, and it was a different ball game. So I really look at that sometimes and think, wow, that's like that could have been bad. Could have been a different situation. So, now fast forward, I come up to Louisiana and, really didn't know anybody for a while. I was alone. I was alone up here, straight up in a trailer, a crappy trailer with freaking holes in the wall that wasps would fall into. Like, just some backcountry stuff, man. Like, I was killing a wasp every other day in my freaking trailer, and it was nuts. But
in what city is this, by the way?
This is a Violet.
Okay.
It's kind of right outside of Hopedale.
Okay.
About 25 minutes from the city. And, it's a nice little park. I got to say, this Van's Trailer Park, it's just like, she does background checks, which was really cool for me because, she doesn't let people in with the record and stuff. So I'm just hanging out in here. I got a lot of expensive stuff with the boat and equipment and stuff. So it's nice to know I don't have a lot of different people coming through here. But, so the trailer it was a rough place, and I lived there for 8 months last year. I stayed, and just to check it out, see which months I would like to stay to in the future, and see which are the slow months, which what the weather does here, what the weather does there, and it was just lonely, man, for a while. But I had a few people that were really cool, a few guides here that kind of stuck their neck out for me after they met me and kind of found out what I was about. And, they've been real cool to me ever since. And now I got a good group of friends up here that I can, at least go get to bite to eat with, so I'm not stuck in the trailer all the time alone. But no, it's really cool, man. I'm a pretty basic dude. I really don't need much. I don't need a lot of fancy stuff or anything like that. So this is pretty much right up my alley, getting to stay up here and go out into a place that's as cool as the marsh and catch big fish pretty often. So I'm really happy up here, and I can see myself doing it for a while.
Yeah, you certainly are posting up some big pics. I'm curious. I'm curious on, like, you mentioned Greg Moon. I don't know him personally, but like there is this locals versus non-locals, and some of it's silly.
Yeah,
and some of the guys who call themselves locals are guys like you who are implants from other states and have now been there 10 or 20 years and call themselves a local, and now don't like the people doing the same thing they did. But
yeah, and that's true. That is true. There's very few people that are locals, quote locals here, that are actually from Louisiana, that have been here their whole lives and stuff. But there's, the place is so mysticized, like online. It is so mysticized. People just think that it is like here and you just slay out big fish all day, no stopping. And it can be, it can be, but for the most part, man, it's the same as any other place, in the sense that you get a bad day of weather or whatever the case is, you got to grind. It's the same as any other fishery in that sense. That sun goes away, you can't see anything. This water's, brown in a lot of the spots. You can't see, the wind comes from a certain direction. Those fish aren't on that bank anymore. I mean, I could see where the local guys come from in that sense, because there's a lot of guys that trailer their skips here and fish and guide like I do, and they don't really, I'm not trying to act like I understand it all yet, but they don't really understand certain things about the fishery. They're coming from places where they're fishing for redfish in 10 inches of water on oyster bars all day, so not to get too far into it, but a lot of people run over fish a lot, and they change the fish's kind of behavior. And, it's getting to the point where up until Christmas time, when most people leave, if you're out there and you find a good spot, you can't assume that you're the only one that knows about it. There's probably 7 more people hitting it throughout the day. And so again, just kind of wanted to put that out there, because I do understand where they're coming from. And I hate that, I came into this game at such a late time. I wish I was here 10 years ago, when everything was cool and there was 5 people here and fishing was way better.
You would have been 12 years old, dude.
I know. Hey, it's never too early, Joe. It's never too early. No, I understand it. It's just, I see where they're coming from. I think a big part of being someone in my position that's my age is understanding how the older guys and guides can feel about this, because, and this is the bigger issue that they're mad at. It's not as much the guides coming here. That is just kind of a scapegoat. The bigger issue is watching their fishery die, and that's just like everywhere else. And, the fishing here is still great. You should still come here and book trips here. And I mean, it's an awesome place, but, it's the same thing that's happening in every other state. Same thing that's happening in South Florida. You got St. Pete and Tampa, county and mayor or whatever releasing sewage into the bay all year. You got, Lake Okeechobee. That's the bigger issue, I think, is that they've been here for a long time, or a longer time, long enough to notice a change in the fishing.
Yep.
And it's not helping that there's 20, 30, 40 skiffs that launch every day now in the winter time. It's like I said, I think it's just about kind of understanding where they're coming from and giving them a little bit of understanding. That's all. That's a good word.
So I'm curious in terms of how, like, just growing a business. As a young person, I mean, it was tough in Tampa, where at least you had a little bit of a social network, and you're a Floridian. You're now in a new place. Like, how do you book clients? Like, how do you go about, attracting people to fish with you?
Well, that part, I think I'm still, figuring out pretty heavy. I'm not by any means someone that's gonna, kind of make myself sound better than I am. I'm kind of like an old man when it comes to technology and like Google and all that. Like I hate it. I hate that aspect of this business. It is, it racks your brain. It's like, deep down that you can just solve it by paying a bunch of money to Google every month, which is what a lot of guys do, but it's just not, it's so much that you have to give them now because it's so saturated. And I just don't have those resources being young like this. And I have a lot of my trips come from other guides that, same thing, kind of trust me enough to give me trips, believe in me a little bit, see something there, whatever the case. A lot of my business comes from other guides, and I'm super, super grateful for that, because I really would not be in the position that I'm in without other guys giving me their business. Like, flat out, that's just 100% the way it is.
That's awesome, though, that they trust you enough, and you've built a reputation to gain that. That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I like I'll always treat people on the boat like I would treat my own people, and I'm really passionate and serious about catching fish. I know that's the main goal. A lot of people, say entertainment is a bigger part of it, and I agree it's a big part of it, but I just get wrapped up in fish, man. So I just go out and really try to put them on fish, and I think that's what a couple of the guys that give me trips see and like. But that's how Louisiana is. Like, I do not bring too many of my own guys up here. I have a good handful of regular clients for someone that's as young as me, been doing it for a few years, and they do come up to Louisiana, and I get a handful of them every year, but the majority is coming from other guides with overflow, because this is a destination. There's quite a bit of business to be passed around, and it's never really it's not really the same as getting business in Stewart or Pierce or somewhere like that, where you kind of have to be the biggest name in the area, if not just well known, to get consistent business there. And even consistent business there is probably not going to be more than 150 trips a year. I feel like that's a lot for that area, 150 to 200. And it's kind of just comes down to, there's a lot of people that want to do this, I think. And Louisiana is one of the places where the work's going to be there. So I think that's why a lot of people come here. But, it helps me, people like me too, because I have a group of guides up here, not just Flywater Expeditions, but I have other guides that are, supporting me and giving me trips up here too, which is really cool. I did not think that was going to happen in 1 year. I was like, everyone was telling me when I came up here, you just got to keep your head down and like eat dirt for 5 years, and then maybe someone will like throw you a cookie or something. Like, that's what everyone was telling me. But I've been really fortunate, I guess. I don't really know what else to say on it. I survive a lot off of other people, and I'm very fortunate for that. And, it's saving me a lot of headache with my own marketing and paying for it and the advertising and all that stuff. So, I'm really, really grateful for all that.
No, it's a great lesson for anyone, young or old, who's trying to go into a new space, regardless if it's a fishing company or financial services. Is be a good person, right? Like, don't burn bridges with the network, and build a network. And I think more importantly, because you tell me that story reminded me of, I was about to go into financial services as an advisor and ended up being a wholesaler. So I was kind of consulting lots of advisors, and there's these young guys like you, smart, ambitious, driven, but it's tough to go get, a 65-year-old to give you $1 million when you're 20 years old and you're not even shaven yet. And the smart ones, they'd go find the older advisors who were, super busy, like some of those guys that they're overbooked, and they would say, hey, like, give me all your C and D clients. And then the big guy would keep the A and B and kind of become like a protege. And it's such a smart way to do it versus trying to go out there and like you said, spend too much money, burn bridges, and trying to do it all yourself. So I think that's awesome advice. So I'm curious, you mentioned like Greg Moon, who that was the first one. Like, are you guys friends? Like, does he look at you as competition now, or?
I'm sure there's a little disdain. As far as all that goes, look, I don't hold anything against him personally, obviously, for, maybe just not being extra friendly. He's not like a D-bag or anything by any means to me. He does his own thing at the ramp and fishes, and I do my thing and I fish, and, I don't mean anything by what I'm doing. I just think that, I think that most people in his position probably wouldn't want to be my friend, regardless of what he actually showed me or anything like that. Because keep in mind, that's the main thing I just keep falling back on. Like, I was really just fortunate that something inside of me told me to make that decision that day, and I didn't get showed a bunch of top secret, super special stuff or anything like that, So I don't blame him for kind of keeping his distance or whatever. There's no serious, there's no crazy drama or anything like that. I do my thing and he does his thing, and I try to stay back from the locals a bit, not because I have anything against them, more because I don't think that they want me going up to them and being like, hey guys, like, what's going on? How do you fish today? How's everything? I'm pretty distant with that stuff now. When I first started, it's funny. I always say I was super, super ignorant and naive when I first started all this a few years ago. I don't know if it was like the way my soul was configured or whatever the case, but I was kind of just hopping into the game like, oh, this is just a bunch of friends. Like, everybody's just friends, and we're just going to guide, and we're just going to get people to pay us to go fishing, and it's just going to be a playland, like a freaking, rainbows and butterflies. And, that is not the case. Most people, if not 90%, probably look at me and want me to fail. And I understand that, and I don't hold anything against them for that. But knowing that, now is a big part of kind of how I play now, kind of how I walk around and look around and just kind of keep my eyes open, and I don't, go out of my way to say much to anybody. I'm not mean by any means. If you come up to me, I'm all ears, man. Hey, a friend, I'm in the sticks. Like, I'll take as many friends as I can get out here. But, I really just kind of give the guys their distance. I don't really try to go up and talk to them or anything, because quite frankly, not to say anything about them, but I don't really think they want to.
Yeah, so. Well, I think, as a young guy and you're the new kid on the block, if you will, you're going to have to earn it just like anyone would, and in any kind of industry. So that's cool, man. It's cool to hear someone of your age out there doing it with, some of these guys who are certainly at least 2 times your age. and just kind of having to figure out the ropes and, like you said, keep as many friends as you can and build that network. Because I've been on the boat with a lot of different guides, and all of them have a network. To your point, it's never as big as you think it is. We're like, oh, everyone's just sharing everything, but you have to have that core group that helps you out. So I want to you touched on social media, and I obviously I follow you on Instagram, and I saw recently you had posted something that you're taking a break. So talk about that. Coming from a 22-year-old. Talk about social media, how it's benefited you, the distractions, and I'm curious why you're taking a break from it.
So I'm a big believer in, if you don't believe in yourself, then how do you expect anyone else to? And social media is definitely a good thing to an extent. It has its good value to it. Obviously, I'm not knocking it. It's not the inanimate object that is social media that can be a problem. It's the people on using, the platform that can be a problem. And in this kind of industry that I'm starting to get into, it's getting a little more, big boyish. There's like, I'm not fishing next to normal, kind of people in a ski boat, throwing shrimp in a popping cork much anymore, which, by the way, is totally fine. I'm not really in that area. I'm like, running around and I see, people on the water that probably don't want me there. And, like it kind of rolls back into what I was just talking to about the whole older guide thing and the respect thing. I am not posting my fish on there to show off. Period. I do not care about social media. I don't think I would have been putting in the time that I have in the past 7, 8 years, whatever, that I've been fishing if I only cared about a picture and likes. And I really don't believe in that when people say, oh, all he cares about are the likes or the pictures or he wouldn't be fishing. I really don't believe in that. I think that if you care enough to do all that for it, then you do care about fishing. But there's definitely a bar that is being set with people at my age level and lower or higher or whatever around my age, that from the older guys, that social media is their only thing. Like, they only care about it. They're posting it up to show off. They want to act like they're good. They want to act like they know. Frankly, like I said before, I keep my head down and launch my boat and fish and put my boat back on the trailer and go home. I really don't, have a problem with people posting, but I am not only posting for recognition. I'm posting to try to get business. Like I said, I hate Google. I hate, going online and trying to have to build a business like that. And, I hate that I don't have a storefront. I hate that I have my only thing for people to find me on is the internet, and I don't like that. So Instagram and Facebook and outlets like that, they allow me to post and advertise easily without putting much effort or money or time in, So, that's really what drew me to those platforms and why I do it so much. If I get 5-10 trips a year from it, which is probably around what I get from those platforms, which is not a lot, that is fine. That's more clientele. That's more, money in my pocket to pay for stuff that I have. That's fine. It's doing its job. But on the other hand, something that I've kind of been taught from a mentor that I have up here, I can call him a mentor pretty much, Paul Lappin. He's a very, very good fisherman, and he just went full time up here. Been doing it for a while. Used to do the Keys, Key West, and Appalachia as well for tarpon, but he recently kind of just settled down here in the city. And he doesn't have a website. He doesn't have cards. He doesn't have anything. Paul survives in this profession because he's really good and he's entertaining and like, you know, he's all around good guy. And that's why he survives in here, is because over time, the people that have given him business have, you know, entrusted him with their clients. Paul, you know, can either turn them into repeats over a period of time or do whatever. He has a ton of repeat clientele. He keeps getting trips from other people constantly. And, you know, it's nice to not rely on other people giving you business because it's inconsistent, kind of out of your hands, you know. But at the same time, Paul doesn't have social media. He doesn't have any of that stuff. I mean, he does, but he doesn't use it, you know. And most of the guys at the top don't really do much of that. And, you know, Paul he said, you know, everyone has kind of a target out on your back. And, you know, that's not your fault. It's just the way it is. But posting all that stuff, all the fish you're catching, all that on social media doesn't really help. And, you know, you get a lot more people. In the end, you gain a lot more from the trips that you get through the relationships that you build here, and not nearly as many through posting a picture every day on Instagram or Facebook. And I truly not only believe in that, but it kind of made me take a step back and say, you know, these people might not be able to tell from the photo where I'm fishing, because Louisiana is such a vast place, and all I need to do is like point up or something, or put the background in the marsh grass, and they can't tell where I'm fishing. But we launch at the boat ramp, same one, every single day, you know, and all they got to see is which direction I'm going, or run by me or something like that. And it's getting to the point now where I see that happening, and a lot of the stuff that I'm on over here is not what other people are doing. I really just kind of want to respect it and kind of keep it a little bit on the down low. So it's not really just for one reason or another. I kind of just looked at it in the macro, and I said to myself, you know, I really don't care too much about it. Like, again, it's not a bad thing. It's good for someone trying to grow their business, but you know, I think the benefit of kind of just, at this point for me, I think the benefit of kind of just sitting back a little, you know, hanging tight, not really going out and, you know, just posting. I think that is going to benefit me a little bit. And that stirred up a lot of stuff for me back in Stewart too. You know, people don't like seeing a young guy like me, like, make a fishing report or like post, or, you know, I mean, they look at how long I've been fishing or something like that, or I don't know what they think. I don't really care, you know, because not a lot of them have even met me in person. I promise if you sit down and talk to me for a little bit, I think you'll have a different perspective on who I am and where I'm coming from. But, you know, it's Stewart's a lot tighter. Louisiana's 3 million acres. I mean, Stewart, I post a fish, all they got to do is run by the freaking dock I'm at one time and be like, oh, I'm going to try that next time. And I saw that happening too. And, you know, again, man, I just don't think the benefits for me are outweighing the kind of impact it might be having behind the scenes that I can't really see. So I think that's why ultimately I'm taking a break a little bit. And, you know, kind of just to prove too, like, I really don't care about it, man. I don't care about the likes. I don't care about the recognition, any of that crap. I just want to put these people on fish. I want them to come back. I want them to have a good time. And I want the person who gave me the trip to be happy and keep on giving me trips. And I think that keeping my head down, kind of focusing on that, you know, I think that'll get me a little further than making a post every single day.
I understand where you're coming from, but why you take a break, which I do think is a good idea. I would really think through, because it sounds like you've got captains, the captains are the only ones that want you to fail. The consumer, who's your customer, the ones giving you money, they want to see pictures of you on that. I mean, that's quite honestly, I mean, the reason that your name came up was because you were putting awesome pictures up. So the captains are such a minority. And the consumers are the majority. The consumers love to see a 22-year-old posting fishing reports. I mean, the majority
and
of
that's why,
right.
And that's why I think that I'm going to turn all my focuses from social media into website stuff. And I think I'm just going to do it because the website stuff, man, it so far outweighs the amount of press you get on social media. Unless you have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 people following you on social media, the website press is so much more impactful on the clientele that you'll receive and the phone calls you'll get and the emails you'll get than posting on, Instagram or Facebook. And I totally hear where you're coming from. And again, I really don't want to make it sound like I'm stopping because I care about other people's opinions. It's more just, I don't really think it's that. I hear what you're saying. I don't, I wouldn't be really talking to you right now if I wasn't posting on there. And, but on the other hand, like, I know people here right now, like Paul and other people that are freaking tearing them up. Like, just, it's not even funny, like, what they're seeing every day right now and what kind of, how good they really are. And they don't post anything, man. And for me, it's not about the money at all. I don't care about the money, man. I, honest to God, don't even want to run, 300 days a year and just be kind of trapped by it. I'd just like enough to make a comfortable living, have a good clientele, and be able to fun fish once or twice a week. It's really not about the money to me. So, kind of looking at everything above and just looking at the big picture, I don't want to just be like, oh, that guy posts giant fish every day. I'll still post once in a while, but, that's why I said in my post that I made about not posting, ironically, that's why I said just not posting doesn't mean I'm not catching. And I know that doesn't have as big of an impact, obviously, as posting pictures. But I think that people that kind of understand and saw the output that I was, putting out on social media, saw how many we really were catching. And, there's plenty more that we were catching that I wasn't posting. I think that those people will kind of know where I'm coming from. And, I don't really look at myself as like some influencer or, the public figure thing is really funny to me, the public figure thing on Instagram and stuff. And I just don't really look at that as myself. Sometimes I have to sit back and really tell myself, well, there's actually like 4,000 people looking at what I'm posting right now. It doesn't even register in my brain. Same reason I don't like the Google stuff. It's the same reason why I don't like all of that marketing and online stuff, is because I'm just here to fish and have fun doing it. That's why I started it. And, I'm here to build clients and make everybody happy and just catch a lot of fish. And I'm not here for all that other stuff, man. I really believe, with my faith and with my confidence in myself, and if I just keep on doing what I'm doing, that I'll be fine pretty shortly here.
Yeah, without a doubt. I like what you said about the website. I think if you delete your Instagram account, it's not going to change that much, right? I think, but you have to have something. And I'll give you a good example. I've referred some people to Captain Scott Moore, and these are people who don't fish. They were buying gifts for someone, for family members for a charter in Tampa. South of Tampa, and I was like, hey, like Captain Scott Moore, like he's legendary. You got to get on his calendar early. Like I basically like talked this guy up, and guess what? The first thing they said, what's his website? What's his website? Because they still want to see social proof that this guy catches fish, regardless of how much I talked this guy up. They still wanted to know what his website was to go check him out. It's the same thing that we do when we buy anything. We go to Amazon to read a review. we still want to see that social proof. So I would highly encourage you to keep doing it on some platform, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or your own website.
Exactly. And that's why I think I'm really going to do the website, is to shorten up my answer from last time that I kind of just went off on a ramble on. The website is so much more impactful, so much more important. It gets so much more hits. And when people are trying to come to your area and fish and find someone to fish with, if you're on that top page, then you got your chances just went up significantly.
Yep.
Way more than Instagram or Facebook. So, when I do stuff on the website, it's really just promoting my business, man. And people, I'm not that way. It takes away the likes. It takes away the recognition, all that stuff. I really don't care about, like I said, and doing it on my website is not only going to kind of shut those people up, but it's way more impactful, and it's less eyes on me when I'm out on the water. So that's what I'm going to kind of really try to get into more and learn about, dedicate more time to. Just going to kind of bite the bullet and do it, even though I'm not really a fan. Like I said, the only reason Instagram and Facebook was such a good out for me was because it's so easy. I can make a post in 5 minutes, and that really goes a long way. The website stuff is a lot more complicated and advanced and time consuming and, more algorithm-y and all that stuff. But I got to learn about it. That's what I signed up for. Even if I don't like it, can't be 100% fun, right?
Oh, it can still be fun on there. I want to pivot real quick, because we always have every episode with some kind of fishing tips. I'm really curious to know the biggest lessons you learned from this guy, Marshall, there in Florida, that kind of took you under his wing. Like, what are, because, the majority of people listening are weekend warriors. So it sounds like you were that, and maybe a little bit more, because you were, out there wading and shore fishing a couple hundred days a year. What were some of those big lessons, like looking back, that really took your game up to a next level in terms of fishing with Marshall?
It really, quite honestly, just concentration and observation. I always say, I really, I don't like saying this. I probably shouldn't say it on such a big platform, but a lot of people, you either have it or you don't. In other words, like, it either comes naturally and easy to you, or you got to work harder for it. And I see it all the time in people on my boat that I'm guiding. I see people who I can instruct and they can just do it, perfectly right after I say it. And all of a sudden they went from casting 20 feet to throwing a mile, and they just listen. Just listen and observe. It really is not some big secret or something that's super hard to pick up if you just really take the time and listen and research and observe. A big thing that I like to focus on more than anything else is depth. If I was to give one tip, you're going to, most of the time, find the bigger fish off that drop off in that deeper section. And that comes with a very good understanding of where you're fishing, which comes from observing. You got to know on what tide is that drop off going to be, at this dock piling or that dock piling. At what tide is the current going to start sweeping over that drop off, over that piece of structure. It's really just observing, man. You got to find structure, moving water, depth contours, and really pay attention to kind of the patterns of where the fish are moving in between all of them. But, if I was to give one tip, that would be it. Just really focus on all the details that you got going on out there, and target those three things: depth, contour, structure, and current, and you'll figure some stuff out.
I know you're a big fan of artificial lures, like Luke and I. What's your confidence lure, your go-to?
Dude, I just love topwaters, man.
Yeah.
If I was to probably just have one lure to throw for the rest of my life, it'd be a topwater. And it's not because it's the most effective, probably, in most situations. If you're looking for the most effective lure, I would probably go with just regular paddle tail. Maybe a 5-inch paddle tail, something a little bigger, whatever the case. Depends on where you're fishing, what you're fishing for, how big the fish are, and, kind of that whole scenario. But if I was to throw one thing forever, man, it'd be a topwater. That's just my favorite, period.
Love it. What brand do you like?
I was a skitterwalk guy for a long time, but I really, really like spooks now, man. Just went old school, and I started throwing big saltwater spooks, and to me, they have the best action with the main thing is the hooks. There's no other topwater out there that makes strong hooks, man. I broke all of them. I cannot stand you're throwing this lure that is pretty much meant for big fish, and the hooks just break so easily. The saltwater spooks, man, they got really strong hooks. I think they're big galvanized mustads, and they have great action and great sound. And they're the right size. So spook's my go-to.
They've been working for longer than you've been living.
That's what I'm saying. I looked at it and I was like, man, they've been throwing these things for like 30 years, man. What am I doing? What do I think I know more than these guys? So I picked up the spook and it was like, yeah, I see why they're still throwing it.
Awesome, brother. Well, I know, I believe you said you're a fisher today. It's probably a time to hit the water. So thank you so much. Where can everyone go follow you, even though you've taken a hiatus from Instagram? I know you've got Maxed Out Fishing on YouTube as well, because I've seen your videos there. Where else can they find you and your website and everything?
Captain _ Max McKinley, CAPT _ Max McKinley on Instagram, and Facebook. If you want to just add me, Max McKinley, you'll probably see a fish in the picture and be able to tell that's me. But that's pretty much it. MaxedOutFishing.com is my website, and man, hopefully I'll be putting out some more stuff on there.
Awesome. I can't wait to see where this all takes you. And man, yeah, just super proud of you. I love hearing stories like this of people who just follow their dreams and especially to move to a completely new area where you don't know anyone and still make a living doing it. It's so cool. But yeah, I know it's never easy to ignore the voices of these people who do want you to fail. But sometimes their advice is not best because they're trying to lead you down a path that they want you to go on. So, man, stay strong. Hit me up anytime that we can help you out in any way, dude. Keep up the awesome work, and everyone go check out Captain Max McKinley. Book him if you're ever there in Louisiana. And when do you come back to Florida? In case people want to book you while you're here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks very much. Had a good time. Yeah,
and real quick, when do you come back to Florida?
I'll be done in Louisiana at the end of March. Okay. I'll be back in Florida for April through September, October area. So it's awesome. Great fishing, big snook, big jacks, tarpon, cobia, good stuff. Love it, buddy. All right, Max, I appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, thank you. Talk to you soon. Chat soon.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul.